All right, real quick, I need someone to please tell me what you did. You cross multiply and divide, right? Anytime you have fraction equals fraction, I can literally just any cross, right? You cross them. 9 times 5, 45. You put an equal sign, then you cross the other way. 3 times x is 3x. And then how do we solve? We'll just divide by 3. So x equals 15. Hold on. I know some of you do the whole circle thing, this, that, whatever. I'm trying to mathematically get you to look at what I'm asking you to do. Okay? Time out. I want you to make sure you process, right, guys? We always talk to you about I'm teaching you process, not just always shortcuts. So when you have fraction equals fraction, we cross one way, write it down. Equal sign. Cross the other way, or write it down. What happens to your fractions? What happened to them? They're gone. Ta-da! No more fraction. And then you just solve. Same idea for the first part of what we're doing today. So we've been practicing how to multiply, how to simplify, how to divide, how to add, how to subtract. Today we're actually going to have equal signs we're going to solve. So we'll do a couple of the real easy ones, which are just like what you just did. Okay? So we're going to look at the first ones that are cross multiplying, and then they get a little harder. We have to use the least common denominator again and whatnot. But, so number one, fraction equals fraction, right? We cross multiply. Does it matter which way I cross first? No, it really doesn't. Now, some of you would do all this in one step, and that's fine. I'm going to write it down just so everybody can see what's going on, okay? So first, I'm going to cross the 3 times the x minus 1 equals, cross the other way, 4 times x plus 1. My fraction's gone. If I would give you that and ask you to solve it, you guys would probably laugh at me because it's so easy, right? What do I do next? Yeah, just distribute. So we get 3x minus 3 equals 4x plus 4. We just distribute. Yeah, we move your x's. We have x equals negative 7. I can read an equal sign forwards or backwards. Do I care if you write x equals negative 7 or negative 7 equals x? I don't care. I don't care. But do we see what I did? Fraction equals fraction, you cross multiply. Oh my gosh, you guys. I moved this over here, so I got the x. Then I had to subtract this over here. Oh, you're my advanced class. Come on now. I know, right? All right, so here we go. Let's try this one. Is it fraction equals fraction? I need you to make sure that we're aware of that because there's different types. Fraction equals fraction, we can cross multiply. And again, I don't care which way you go. 1 times x squared minus x. 2 times x minus 1. So we have x squared minus x equals 2x minus 2. I'm going to stop right there, make sure we're all on the same page. How do you solve something with an x squared? Set it equal to 0, and we got a factor. Did you tell him that? So we need to subtract the 2x. You guys okay if I don't write this? I don't want to freak you out again. Subtracted 2x. Got negative 3x. I'm going to add the 2. You guys cool? Add the 2. Now, if I was, I'd write every little step if I was treating you like kids. All right, how does this factor? X equals 1 and 2. Now, do you remember the whole thing about when I talked to you about restrictions? Mm-hmm. X cannot be 0 or 1. It's just 2. If I plug in a 1 here, what's 1 minus 1? I can't have a 0 in the denominator. Here, if I would factor this, x can't be 0 and it can't be 1. So anytime you're solving and you get answers, you have to go back and look at those restrictions. I try to train you early, that way when we get here, you're like, oh, there's my restrictions, that's not a good answer. Right? You cannot have a 0 in the denominator. Questions here? All right, why don't you guys try this one on your own? All right, so if we're cross multiplying, I cross this way, I get just x squared plus 4x. Cross this way. You guys okay if I just go 3x plus 12? I just distributed right away. All right, I have an x squared, so I don't have to set it equal to 0. So x squared plus x minus 12 equals 0. Factor, it's going to be x plus 4x minus 3 equals 0. So x equals negative 4 and 3. Why not? Yeah, if I put negative 4 plus 4, that's no good. What about 3? 3 is fine. 3 is fine. What's the other restriction, though? 0 would be the other restriction. Good. Still. All right, one more of this type of problem. Let's see what happens. So when I go to cross multiply, I'll go ahead and write out all the steps here. So I have 2 times x squared minus 10x plus 16 equals. What happens when I cross multiply the other way? Well, the other direction. How do I multiply that? They're being multiplied. So 2x minus 4 multiplied by x plus 2. Watch your mouth. All right, so setting it up there, I mean, you're just multiplying. So I just set it up being multiplied. So I'll distribute on this side. 2x squared minus 20x plus 32. Distribute. I don't curse in my classroom. Watch your mouth. That one just makes me laugh. I know, I hadn't either. What's a crab claw? Oh. All right. So 2x squared minus 20x plus 32. Just going to kind of clean up this side over here. What happens to the x's over here? They canceled out? Where did I lose you at? Did you find it? Oh, yeah, because this 2x times positive 2 give me the positive 4x there. What happens when I go to try to set this equal to 0 so I can factor? There is no x squared. Cancels out, right? If I subtract 2x squared over here, they cancel out. So really I have negative 20x equals, move that over there, negative 40. If I subtract 2x squared, those are gone. And then I'm subtracting 32. What's the problem? I love the arguments that's persistent. This would be x cannot equal negative 2. So that's okay on this one. But this, if you factored this, that would be x minus 2, x minus 8. He's right. So my restrictions are 8 and 2.
Nothing. We can have nothing.
Wait, so is it not equal?
It is no solution.
Nice. I like these.
No, we're not going to go to work to find out.
Yeah, when you're checking restrictions, you got to look at the factored form of those denominators. You okay? What math are you making up? What's your question?
Well, these times get 13 by 28.
real question? If not, I'm moving on. Okay. All right, guys, questions on the fraction equals fraction? Those are pretty easy. All right, the other part 2, if you have your purple sheet out in front of you, this is separated on the purple sheet, 2 different columns, just so you can kind of keep it straight. There it is. Thank you, Vanna. But they're solving fraction equals fraction in one column, and the next column is the other type of solving? No, because the first column in the second row is what we did. It's not new today. Anyway, who cares about the terminology? I want to make sure we're on the same page as far as what I'm looking at. Okay. That's accurate. All right, so now notice this problem. We are no longer on fraction equals fraction. I can't just cross multiply this. There's an extra piece in there. Okay, so this is that last column on there, more than 2 fractions. What's the denominator on this? 1. Okay. Anytime I'm solving something and there's fractions, what would you like to do with them? Clear them. If I can get rid of them, I'm going to get rid of them. So first thing, let's look at your purple paper. Step 1 says to factor denominators. Any of that factor? No, I'm good there. All right, so then the next part says multiply the numerators by the LCD to cancel the denominators. Now, before we only multiplied by what it was missing to make them have the same. Now, whatever your LCD is, I'm going to multiply every single fraction by it. And let me show you why. First of all, is it legal as long as I multiply everything by the same thing? Totally legal. I can do that. All right? So now if I look at this, in this piece right here, can you cancel the x minus 2's? So I have just 5x equals. You were trying to combine fractions doing that. There's an equal sign in this, so therefore I can multiply the whole thing by something, both sides of the equation. It makes it balanced. You got to be careful when there's an equal sign and when there's not. It means something very different. Yes. However, but like this one doesn't have a bottom, so I actually have to multiply this up here. 7x minus 14. And then this cancels. I have just 10. But notice my fractions are gone now. Right, now it's just an easy linear equation. It's linear because it's just x to the first. So negative 2x equals negative 4. So x equals 2. What? Why not?
Because restriction.
That's a restriction. There's no solution.
Why are you doing it?
I like that you're remembering to look at that, though. That's good. You guys would be so, like the very last problem, the answer is 1 or something. You're like, dang it. Paige. No. No, on the solving ones, I'm not going to ask you for restrictions. I'm hoping you're going to look at that when you tell me what the answers are. All right, so number 6. One thing, do you see the minus sign sit in front of one of your fractions? It's technically not wrong the way it is, but I'm afraid you're going to miss it. I would probably change it to plus, just move it up there where you can see it. Do you know what I mean? Like, anytime I have those minuses in front of fractions, sometimes they blend in and you lose them. So what is your LCD? Not just x. 2x. All right, if I want to hit every piece on the bottom, it's 2x. So we're going to multiply every part by 2x. Now, some of you may start to see like some shortcut where you don't have to write all this down as we get going, which is fine, because if I do it on my own, I don't write it every time. But what I'm looking at then is I know this x is going to cancel with this one. And what do we have there? 8 plus. I'm going to cancel the 2's. I have 5x. I'm going to cancel the x's. Negative 22. Well, that just looks childish now, doesn't it?
Child.
I mean, it starts out and you're like, whoa. Then you're like, oh, like, that's not that bad. So 5x equals negative 30. X equals negative 6. Is this one good? Yes. What was our only restriction? 0 was the only one. So yeah, we're good there. How are we doing so far? Are we doing all right? So far? Mhm. It's really going to be keeping all this straight, right, for the test next Tuesday? But I'm going to let you use your purple sheet on the test. I am. I'm going to let you use the purple sheet. You cannot write on the purple sheet. All right, so number 7, looking at that, what's your LCD? Where, are there any parentheses in there? Remember, this is one piece. Your LCD is 3x and x plus 6. Yeah, that's one piece. You can't break that. So when you're like 3x plus 6, I'm like, you got something missing in there. All right, questions on that part? All right. Can we cancel some stuff out then and get rid of the fractions? Yep. So my 3x's cancel here. So what do we have? 2x plus 12 plus, cancel this 3. What do we got? 2x squared plus 12x. It's like you're distributing 2x throughout that. Equals, x plus 6's are gone, 24x. That one's not as child's play, right? There's an x squared term. Set it equal to 0. Yep, got to factor it. Yep, standard form, set equal to 0. So 2x squared. 2x, that'd be 14x. I subtract that over there. Can I do all that? Minus 10x. Carry the 1. I need some fingers. Plus 12. That looks better. Hold on. Jared's making the face. I did 2x and 12x is 14x. And I subtracted the 24 over. I just did it all in one step. Sorry, I did it all in one step. All right, I'll start treating you guys like children. Childs. All right, take out your GCF of 2. Ooh, it's the dreaded 6-5 combo. Good. X minus 2, x minus 3. So x equals 2 and 3? What do you mean they can't equal 3? Why not? Yeah, they're actually both good. 0 and negative 6 are your only restrictions. Questions? You don't like this. That's not a question. No, we'll still go through this together. Because what's the first step underneath that thing of fact or the solving column on your purple sheet? Solve it. The column we're on, that last column. Factor your denominators. We haven't really looked at any yet where the denominators actually factor. Number 8, you have a denominator that factors here. Good. Take out your x. All right. So what is your LCD? Good. X and x minus 2. And that's, like I said, some people will figure out how you don't have to. Oh, you do it that way. Whatever works for you. So on the first one, cancel, cancel, 10. That made that look way nicer. On the next one, we can cancel the x's. Good. 4x minus 8 equals, cancel the x minus 2, 5x. So x equals 2. What? You don't like x equals 2? Why don't you like it? Yeah, it's one of your restrictions. No solution. So how important was it for me to teach you how to do your restrictions? It's very important. That's why I did the restrictions before today. That way with today you're like, bam, wrong. No solution. Yes, sir. Because that's... Why is that easier? No.
Why is this a tree? Because it's like. This is an aspen tree.
All right. Did it skip past? Man, it jumped. No, I think we should. Why don't you guys try this one on your own? Yay! Try it on. Let's go ahead and go through number 9 quick. Then I'll give you time to work on the challenge problem, and I'll give you your homework assignment for tonight. Okay? I know you're excited. All right. So number 9, we have to factor the denominator, x plus 1, x minus 1. Your LCD is x plus 1, x minus 1. Guys, thank you. Your x plus 1's cancel. So we have 2x minus 2. The x minus 1's cancel. So x squared plus x. Everything cancels. I have just 2. Since we have an x squared, we know we have to set it equal to 0. So we have x squared, 2x plus x is 3x. When you subtract the 2, that gives you negative 4. The 2's do not cancel out, unfortunately. Then we have x plus 4, x minus 1 equals 0. So x equals negative 4 and 1. And what's wrong? Can equal 1. That was one of your restrictions from right there. You're not the only one. You're the third one I've seen so far. All right. If you would get that in the future, because it could happen, you would just factor out an x. Okay. All right, guys. So the whole solving thing, whether you like it or not, do we understand it? Okay. So I did give you guys a little challenge problem. 5 extra credit points due tomorrow. It's either right or wrong. No in between. Must complete on a separate sheet of paper. I don't want you to turn your notes into me. All right, so there we go. Homework for tonight. There is a staple in it. Nobody panic. I know you guys freak out when you see a staple in papers. I'm only requiring you to do the evens.
Yay!
Okay?